All right. We want to welcome everybody. And we're about to start our first song. Is that right, Karen?
Let's get on our feet and sing.
With David on jungle drums.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Bring it out. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Now it's time to meet and greet your neighbor. Come back to your seats and start singing. My power gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. He gives me everything I need. Back to God. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. One more time. God gives me everything I need.
Good morning, beautiful center. Good morning. I'm Carla Shiratis, one of your staff ministers. And we would just like to welcome you this morning. We are a trans-denominational community, and we just are so blessed to have you each in our presence. And no matter where you've been or where you are on your spiritual path, we want you to know that you're welcome here. We're going to get started this morning by lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs, practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the path for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as Reverend Bruce lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. I'd like to invite you now in this affirmative prayer. Know as I speak these words for myself that I speak them for each one of you. And in this moment of silence, I breathe in and know that God is. I breathe out to know that I am. God is. I am. God is. I am. I am fully unified with this truth that God is, and so I am. I recognize that God has created everything, absolutely everything. And it has created me as an individual expression of itself. And so it's easy for me to unify with this idea of recognizing that it is that very nature of God that is in me. So I allow it to shine. I allow it to shine brightly. I allow it to shine through my eyes. I allow it to shine through my heart. I allow it to illuminate my very being, recognizing that I have inherited every quality of the divine, all its beauty, all its goodness, all its wholeness, all its joy, all its love. I am love actualized. And so I allow this presence of God to activate everything within me, absolutely everything. And I move forward knowing that I am divinely guided in everything that I do because I know that God is. And so I celebrate this. I celebrate it in deep gratitude, knowing that the life of God lives within me. It's such beauty. It's such goodness and truth and wholeness. And I just relish every bit of it. And so I release this word into an infinite law that mirrors these words. Mirrors these words in the exact proportion of which I've just spoken them, or something even greater. And together, will you help me anchor this prayer by saying,
And so it is.
And now I'd like to invite practitioner Tony Sparks to come up to give us our declaration principles and this morning's affirmation. Thank you, Tony.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I believe in God, the one creative intelligence. operating through the universe, and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon the law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it, and so it is.
And our affirmation for today.
My faith in the presence and power of the all-good nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. I accept this all-knowing and all-powerful presence right where I am now. And so it is.
And would you please welcome our special guest singers for the morning, Mick and Diane Barton.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and we are so happy to be here with you today. We see a lot of familiar faces, and we see some new faces that I'm sure will be friends by the time we get through with the service. This particular song we're going to do, before the church was here with Dr. Heather, it was in San Juan, and Dr. Jackie Harold was the minister, and when she retired, allowing Dr. Heather to become the minister, Mick wrote a song for her, and we call it Jackie's theme, but it's about change. Okay.
I think we should do
1, 2, 3, go.
Everything changes. Things begin and end. done. There is no loss to one, only love. Only remains. Everything changes, nothing stays the same. Only love
Thank you for the wonderful band.
And now please welcome Reverend Dawn Clark.
You didn't need to do that, did you? Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Mick. It was so lovely having you here and beginning with that song. And I hadn't realized it was Jackie's theme, but I asked them to start with that one because it's absolutely perfect. Because love is what remains, and love is the answer. And the quote from Ernest Holmes that I'd like to begin with today is, "The intellect argues, love knows." The intellect argues, love knows. Ernest Holmes. So this is a message about simple acceptance, and it's a message about spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, and the necessity of simply believing, or as Reverend Judy is fond of saying, especially Wednesdays, you don't just believe like you might believe in the tooth fairy, you know that kind of believing. That's the simple acceptance, to believe the principle, to believe that we're forever creating out of our consciousness, and everything is an effect of that self-same consciousness. Everything changes, and everything is exactly as it's supposed to be according to our consciousness, individually and collectively. And I'll get more into that in a bit. Knowing that Diane and Mick were going to be here, I wanted to ask them, and I asked Diane to share, so in a minute I'm going to ask her to come forward. But I want to just tell you a little bit. When I came to San Juan Capistrano, to this center, 19 years ago, Mick and Diane were our Karen and Rick. If we wanted a song written, Mick would write it, and they sang once a month these wonderful harmonies and these great songs that people could move to and sing to, and it's just such a treat to have you here. So, and then they were in service because they were part of the church and they couldn't be there every other Sunday. Is that me? Me. So they would be in service that same Sunday that they were singing. And that is really what it is to be a member, to be part of this community. So it's a thrill. And to tell you a little bit about our history that some of you have heard before, but from someone that was right there at the time, please welcome back to the platform, Diane Barton and Mick Barton. And they're going to tell us about something that we created. So go ahead, however you need to tell it, please tell the story.
Well, you do have a lovely piano here, and there is a story behind how it came to be. Now, before Dr. Jackie, her husband, Dr. Leslie, was the main minister of the church, and Jackie was the assistant. And one day, in his talk,
he was talking about the parable of the talents. And when the basket came out for the offering, instead of empty baskets being passed from person to person, the baskets were full of $10 bills. They were 50. They were $1,000 bills. Story always gets bigger when you tell it. And he asked the members of the congregation to, instead of putting money into the basket, to take a bill out of the basket. And with that bill, they were to do something with it to increase it. And with the proceeds from this process, we were going to purchase a piano.
Wow.
Because we talk a lot about prayer and treatment, and he decided it was time to put your money where your mouth is. We're having that piano, and it's going to be delivered Christmas Eve. So people took the money out and did things like had a bake sale, or I think we did a concert, have a car wash, do whatever you could with that money to buy the supplies. Maybe you needed to put a little of your own in with it, but the idea is whatever money you got from whatever talent you used, bring it back to the church, and we're buying a grand piano. So a group of us went to a music store and looked around and decided that was the piano, and went to the people, whoever it is that sells pianos there, and said, okay, we want that piano, and we're going to have it delivered Christmas Eve day, because we want it for our Christmas Eve service. We don't have the money yet, but we will. And that was kind of odd. And then the next thing that happened was the group of us stood in the middle of the music store and did a prayer circle. And we did a prayer treatment for that piano to be
And
delivered.
invited the salespeople to join us.
Yeah, and they were a little not sure, but they did indeed. And it was such a wonderful demonstration because we knew it would work. They might have thought we were crazy, but by the time it was Christmas Eve day and they were delivering that piano, they knew that prayer works, treatment works. And you still have that wonderful piano here. So that's the story of the piano.
Thank you. Does this mean that you would prefer, thank you so much, to prefer me to use the handheld? Or can you, if it goes out again, okay. But up until then, we'll go with the one that I have on. That was,
Yeah.
all right. Well, this one, it isn't, nothing's interfering. Nothing's interfering. It's just me and the mic. Okay. So if there's any interference, it's my natural electricity.
There you go.
So what I wanted to point out about that wonderful demonstration is there wasn't the money, but there was an idea, a clear idea of what this would mean to have a beautiful piano, especially on a very important night for our community, Christmas Eve, and how they were willing to risk looking foolish at the music store, not only by saying yes, they wanted this piano, actually ordering it without money, but also saying when it was going to be delivered. And it came to pass exactly as they intended. And that is from simple acceptance, from accepting that this thing is working. If it was so in Jesus' parable that the talents were multiplied, why would it not be so in our center? It was so in our center. Holmes goes on to say in this one essay, and it's only a one-page essay, he says, sometimes the belief or the conviction that this thing is working oozes out, the conviction oozes out when you are praying for yourself. And then he goes on to say, you should not talk about this principle if you can't demonstrate it. So in other words, that better not be a practitioner or minister who's having that conviction ooze out, because we need to be so steeped in the awareness that this is simply the way it works. The things we think, the things we talk about, the things that we come to believe,
become our experience. Become our experience. My teacher, Sue Rubin, has been speaking at the Redondo Beach Center while Moira is on vacation for August. And one of the things she spoke about, and she posted in Facebook recently, was a beautiful idea. And it was this: we begin our studies with the question, what's in it for me? But eventually we get to the awareness. We need to change that to what's in it from me. What's in it from me? How is my consciousness blessing the community, the world, the places where I live? How is my conviction that all is well and all is God and all is good being a blessing to life? So what is in it from us? Is there a simple acceptance? I look back at my life and I thought there have been times when, and before, when I was brand new at ministry, I told you this once before, but I wanted you to hear it from a different perspective. When I was called to the ministry, my then boyfriend and I packed up both of our homes and put all the combined furniture in a big truck that he was driving, I was navigating, and we were on our way to Bonita, California from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And we got to the border, and they said, where are you going with this big moving truck full of furniture? And we said, here's where we're going, and why are you going there? Because I have a job, and here's my it was a strange thing. It's a religious workers visa, and no one had ever heard of it, but anyway, I had a religious workers visa. And showed them that, showed them my letter of call. They said, great, and then what are you going to do there, sir? And he said, well, I'm a consultant, and because of NAFTA, I'm allowed to go to the States to work. And they said, well, where's your agreement with the business? Which he didn't have. So so anyway, they turned us away. Now, my job was going to start on the 1st of July. My job was going to start, my calling, the thing I'd been working for, it felt like my whole life, and the agreement was we would be there. So we didn't go back to our houses that were empty. We went back to a motel about 3 miles from the border and got into deep and profound prayer. I made some calls also to my practitioner and ministerial friends in Calgary and Edmonton, but mainly it was me and him. And by the time we woke up the next morning, both of us knew that we were going through. And how that happened, because the border agent told him, and don't even think of going to another crossing, because we now have you marked. We pegged you. So anyway, we went through the same crossing, and this time it was just as it should be. Easy, like water flowing. Normal, natural. It just simply happened because it was the next thing supposed to happen. Evidently, the conviction had been oozing out before we got to the border the first time. That's how we explain it. This is a powerful, powerful tool that we have at our disposal, ready for any one of us to use consciously to pick up and change our lives. And it is done unto us as we believe, not as we pretend, but as we truly believe, as we know. That's how it's done unto us. So in the turning away, in the turning within, the other thing we did was deep meditation. And Reverend Carla led us in a beautiful meditation before service, and in it was each one of our individual books of life right there with the answer to our question. It reminded me when I was first into science of mind, when I would go somewhere, like if I were traveling and I went to, say, a Catholic church, the first thing I do is I sit and I ask myself, what do I need to know? I'd pick up the Bible or the hymn book or whatever was there in the pew in front of us. I would allow it to open, just like in your meditation, and the words were always right there. Now, if we had hymn books, you could do it right now, but you could take the Science of Mind textbook and say, this thing that I'm dealing with, what is it I need to know? And then allow the book to open. And the answer will be right there. If you expect it, it will be right there. And it will make sense to you. And you might go to your significant other and say, look, look, and they'll go, well, what does that mean? It doesn't matter what it means to them. It means to you is what the important idea is. Be willing to be guided. The thing is that this presence is absolutely intimate to each one of us. It's the thing itself. It's that thing. Reverend Bruce often says this in his meditations where he says, there is only God and God loves me. That's such a good thing to contemplate. The thing itself, no matter what name you call it, loves you. And that means it's ready to give you the kingdom. You need to ask for it. You need to just set what it is that you are willing to have. During our practitioner retreat, Linda Watson shared with us some beautiful poetry and some readings, and I wanted to share one with you that I thought was appropriate today. This is from Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who's the person that wrote The Women Who Run with Wolves. And this is called, You Were Made for This. A couple of months ago, someone said to me on Sunday morning, it's so hard. Don't you find it hard? And just like Sue's message, what's in it for me, turn to what's in it from me. Listen with those ears to this piece. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this poor, suffering world will help immediately. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you could do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flames, builds signal fires, causes proper matters to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul in shadowing times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do. There will always be times when you feel discouraged. I too have felt despair many times in my life, but I do not keep a chair for it. I do not keep a chair for it. I will not entertain it. It is not allowed to eat from my plate, or as Dr. Tom Costa would say, I don't build a condominium in it. And then she ends by saying, in that spirit, I hope you will write this upon your wall. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe. There can be no doubt, but that is not what great ships are built for. That is not what great ships are built for. We're built to make a difference, to bring all the light that we are into every single present situation. We don't have to be boisterous and noisy, offensive, to let our soul shine. We simply need to let the light that we are shine through. It reminded me of a teacher who was trying to teach self-esteem to her youngsters, and she had made the point that they all had ability, and she said, if any one of you think that you're dumb or stupid, please stand. And no one stood, and then finally Johnny stood, and she said, Johnny, really, are you sure you believe that you're dumb? And he said, no, teacher, I just didn't want you standing alone. Let our light shine. Let our light shine. Take ourselves lightly. You know, I think the interesting thing about these times is the diversity of opinion. And I think it's so important that we talk together and share together what it is we're thinking and feeling, what we're believing, but in a way where we're not holding on to self-righteousness, but rather in a way where we're taking ourselves lightly and letting that thing that God is in us have its way through us as light. Simple acceptance is knowing that the love that you are is enough, and that you are here on purpose, and you are making a difference. I'm very happy to see you this morning, and so it is. Jimmy's going to back me up as I pray for us. I'm going to pray in the first person, and I just want to acknowledge I haven't said a word about my class. I'm having a wonderful new class starting Tuesday night, and I'd love to see everyone there. It's about what I've learned in the 40 years I've been in Science of Mind regarding prosperity, both collective and individual. Okay, so here we go. Here's what I know is true. I know that there's only one life, and that life is God's life. That life is whole, complete, and perfect in absolutely every way. That life that is the Alpha and the Omega is pure, unconditioned, and unconditional love. It is the essence of all life, because it is that which is first cause to everything visible and invisible. But the greatest thing of all is that I know that this thing itself, this mighty power, is right where I am, in and through and as me, as my life, as my world of effects, as my experiences, as my energy and health and aliveness. I speak this word for that awareness of vitality and energy and joy, youthfulness and well-being. I speak this word for creative expression, for that creative expression that allows the right words to come, the right ideas to take root, the right experiences to be my experiences. I'm open and receptive to all of the clues that the universe brings, that I am enough and that there is enough, that the creativity within me is natural and normal, and that I am every bit as talented as any of the songwriters that I've mentioned. And I know this for each one. And furthermore, I know that the abundant blessings of the divine are mine. Not only health, but the wealth of all kinds in every single way, fully compensated for the activities that I experience, fully compensated for my good work in the world and for the consciousness behind that work. What I know is that this one is raising me up and has raised each one of us. I know if anyone is experiencing difficulty of any kind, that this word is especially for them. That there is an answer to your need, to the need that you perceive, for each one is surrounded by that Holy Spirit that knows and knows that it knows and is love itself. I accept that love for each one. I accept that comfort and guidance for each one. I accept the growth that Spirit is always blessing us with. And then with my heart feeling so very grateful for all the good that is, I simply place this word in the action and activity of law. It is complete. Please help me anchor it by saying with me,
And so it is.
And now, Mick and Diane Barton.
Well, this song is by Livingston Taylor, who's James Taylor's brother, and it's called Life is Good.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Aching arms and dusty boots on a chocolate won't get done.
2 weeks pay spent yesterday and a free change bus ride home.
Fading away of a long hard day, not a thing that can hold your own.
And that boy turns in the ashes of the dead. He says, thank you, Lord, for the time I've had today. Life is good, spring is in the air. You got too much in your pocket, a little bit of Earl Grey in your hair. Life is good when you're proud of what you do. You do all to others and it all comes back to you. Some guys are handsome and they make friends all the time.
Always got a buddy and they're always doing fine.
Some boys take the backseat and they watch the world go by.
Living life alone, quietly in the sun.
But then love strikes and those fires start to burn. And then
Only you will melt away and finally get your turn. Say,
life is good, winter's blowing cold. Love is forever and it never will grow old.
life is good when you're proud of
just stuff like that. You know life ain't good. We're headed for a fall. But you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you didn't hurt at all. Life is good when you're proud of what you do. Give your all to others. Come on now, try. Listen very closely to every laugh inside. Every day a reason for all that we do. Give your all to others and it all comes back to you.
Thank you, Lord.
You're welcome.
Again. It's time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings. So if the stewards would please come forward. And just to remind you that you're blessing us with your presence, you're blessing us with your contribution, and we're so very grateful. So how we do this is we're reading our prosperity affirmation together, and then a few seconds in gratitude. To be so grateful for all that we have to give and for all that we have and that all that has been supplied. And then we follow that up by singing together Blessed Always. And then Jimmy Van is going to do something at the end, which is very nice. Okay, so let's say together, my offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply and symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the voice of Spirit. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel the love and harmony right now. I can hear the sound of angels' wings. I see peacefulness abound. Surely the presence of our God is all around. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the voice of Spirit sing. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place.
Thank you so much, Jim. We often don't keep that atmosphere of sacredness, but that was really, really beautiful. Thank you. Another spiritual practice is being in service, as I mentioned in my message. So if you're in service today or have been this week, would you please stand so we can give you a lot of love? You are a difference maker, and we're so grateful for you. A subset of those people that stood are our practitioners trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer. If you want your life transformed, make an appointment to see one of these people. You will be so happy that you did. In service today, we have Reverend Bruce Fredenberg, Jill Burnett, Kathy Story, and Tony Sparks. Let's acknowledge our practitioners. And then would also like to acknowledge those of you who are here for the very first time. If that's any one of you here for the first time, if you would be willing to be brave enough to stand up, that would be great. Okay, wonderful. That would keep standing because we're going to acknowledge you. And this is for all of us. So I'm going to have you repeat after me. Welcome to our center.
Welcome to our center.
We know who you are.
We know who you are.
Spiritually, you are a beautiful being.
Spiritually, you are a beautiful being.
Abundant, healthy, wealthy, and wise. Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Let's acknowledge. And then in your little green bag, there's a card that's a welcome card. If you fill it out and take it to the bookstore, which is through the doors and around to your right, you'll receive another gift. It's a book. So let's acknowledge our visitors. So happy you're here. Do we have announcements?
We do. Oh, hello. So, stay for Conscious Connections to discuss the ideas you heard in today's service. It meets from 12 to 12:30 right here in this sanctuary. And this week at Wednesday's Wisdom, Reverend Patty will present Courage Doesn't Always Roar. So, come at 7 o'clock, get your midweek faith lift. On Thursday evenings, Mary Brogdon is leading a book study based on Neil Donald Walsh's book, Home with God.
And it meets from 6:30 to 8:30 and is presented on a love offering basis, and all are welcome. Whether you have read the book or not, you're welcome. And starting this Tuesday night, as Dr. Heather mentioned, is her new prosperity class. Dr. Heather's personal secrets of prosperity, and she has a lot of them. So come, I'd love to see you here Tuesday night from 6:30 to 8:30, and it runs for 5 weeks. And for all Spanish speakers who would like to study spiritual ideas in Spanish, a class from John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, is being presented. So this is an introductory class facilitated by Claudia Riley.
Yay!
Love Offering Business. Yay! Claudia, stand up, beautiful lady. Yay! So this is also on a love offering basis, and it begins on September 10th at 6:30 p.m. And now I would like to invite Reverend Carla up to the platform for an announcement.
I'm really excited that I get to spill the beans. But I'm going to change it up a little bit because I get to spill the gems. This fall, we'll be celebrating together our annual commitment program, and our theme this year is Courageous and Confident Connections. Isn't that exciting? One of the components of this program is that we will be meeting weekly in one of our members' homes, and we'll be calling these gatherings sacred circles. And if you're already in one of our friendship circles, you don't need to join another circle. You're just going to morph right in during that pledge time to become one of our sacred circles. So next month, we're going to be inviting you to join one of our sacred circles, and we're going to be meeting for 5 weeks to explore and expand and deepen our relationships with each other and with God. Right now, there's an opportunity for you to host, and by offering your home, or you can be a co-facilitator with one of our sacred circles. And for more information, I'm going to be available in the back at a table, and come get some information, sign up and join. It's going to be so much fun. You'll be glad you did.
There's always lots to do here, so please take home your inserts and look it over and see what matches your heart. And now it's time to invite the kids in.